here today due to the fact that he has prior commitment, and his oath will be administered at a separate meeting. At this time, I'd ask Liz and I step to the front, and Mr. Matthew Block with the Governor's Office has come to administer the oath.
You will repeat after me. Raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, and the Constitution and laws of this state. And I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as and state your position. Board of Supervisors of the University of Louisiana system. And according to the best of my ability and understanding. So help me God.
Mr. Block, they're signing the oaths. Can you?
Yeah, go around.
They're right over there. Thank you.
I'd like to take a moment to thank all of you individually and certainly collectively as a board. It's been an honor to serve on this board for the last 7 years and certainly as chairman last year. I would say that we've got some extraordinary individuals here, and it's a great, talented group of leaders, and it's a privilege to lead this group, and I look forward to a very productive year. We have a great administration. We have a great faculty. I think we're in a good spot to really advance our cause, and I really look forward to seeing some good things happen in 2020. So thank you again for the trust and confidence you've all placed in me, and I look forward to it. Liz, if you would, if you'd like to say a few words.
Okay, well, I want to start by thanking Mark for allowing me the opportunity to serve as parliamentarian under his leadership. I again echo all his sentiments on the board members. I think we have an excellent board, and I think we've made wonderful decisions. We've done things to advance the University of Louisiana system, and I look forward to continuing to do that work with this board. So thank you again, Mark.
Thank you, Liz. Now we'll address two items of business from the campuses. Northwestern's item is for the request for approval of a 2020 unclassified pay plan. At this time, Dr. Litoff will present the item. Do I have a?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Northwestern State University is proposing a pay plan of a 2% cost of living and adjustment with a minimum increase of $1,000. Part-time unclassified staff would be prorated based upon their status, and this will be effective January 1st of 2020.
Are there any comments from the board? Any questions? Any comments from the public? All in favor? I'm sorry, can I have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'd like to move that we accept this.
Moved by Ms. Donahoe, second by Mr. Murphy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our second item is University of New Orleans' request for approval to appoint Dr. Gloria Walker as Vice President for Business Affairs, CFO, effective January 20th. And if you would, Dr. Niccolo and Dr. Walker. And Dr. Niccolo, if you would introduce Dr. Walker, and certainly we'll call for a vote of the board and have your comments after.
Okay. Does this one work?
There's the button.
Is the button on?
It says it's working, but I'm not sure it is.
Pull that one.
How about that? There we go.
Better.
It gives me great pleasure to bring this item to the board. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Let me introduce Dr. Gloria Walker. Gloria, I couldn't be more thrilled to bring her on board. She's a very seasoned, a very experienced CFO. She has degrees in accounting and finance. She is a CPA. She has a doctorate in higher education. She's currently, or just departing from Cowley College in Kansas, which is not the South, that's the Midwest. Right? And prior to that was the executive vice president at Texas Southern University. So she has a long history and experiences in this role in solving some major challenges, and she's very creative in terms of revenue generation, some great things I'm looking forward to bringing. I couldn't be more thrilled to have her back. I think she's excited to get back to the South and to New Orleans.
Thank you for the introduction, Dr. Niccolo. And are there any questions or comments from the board? Any questions or comments from the public? May I have a motion?
Move approval.
Moved by Mr. Robinson, second by Ms. Laudiger. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Welcome, Dr. Walker, if you have a few comments.
Yes, I do. I want to say thank you this morning, the Board of Supervisors for the University of Louisiana system. I want to thank you for approving me for this appointment as the Vice President and Chief Financial Officer for the University of New Orleans. I am excited yet humble to have this opportunity to join Dr. Niccolo and the University of New Orleans and being a part of that community and particularly the city of New Orleans. And I'm just ready to get going. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. We now move to the System President's Report. Dr. Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Romero, and congratulations to you and Liz Pierre, and of course to James Carter in absentia for being our board officers, and look forward to our Friday morning calls every Friday morning. We are thrilled today to welcome some, I don't want to call them guests, I want to call them friends to our meeting, who will leave today as official partners of our system. In October, because of an initiative led by our past chair, Al Perkins, in October, leadership from the 100 Black Men of Greater Baton Rouge visited our office to discuss ways we can collaborate in our shared mission to change lives through education and mentorship. Out of that conversation was birthed a memorandum of understanding that we'll sign today to formalize a partnership between our two organizations. Before I welcome their executive director to the table, I would like to first welcome his sister to the room, Dr. Nikki Godfrey, who works with the Board of Regents, who is in the back of the room. Nikki, would you please stand? The better of the two Godfreys, is that what you, that's what you told me? But folks, please join me and welcome to the table who will have some remarks and also introduce us to the board members that have joined him here today. The Executive Director of the 100, Trey Godfrey. Trey, please come to the table.
Thank you, Dr. Henderson, and I may contest you on the notion that my sister is the better Godfrey, although she is the better looking one. To you and the board of the University of Louisiana system, we thank you. I am Brace Trey Godfrey, Executive Director of 100 Black Men of Metro Baton Rouge. On behalf of the gentleman next to me, our Chairman and President, Mr. Fred Sibley, and the members of the 100, we thank you for having us this morning, and we are extraordinarily excited to engage this partnership with the University of Louisiana system. You know, I believe in the old adage that organizations take on the personality of their leaders. And the strength of this organization is rooted in the collective personality and strength of the men who you see before you this morning and the 90-something other fellow members of 100 Black Men of Metro Baton Rouge. Gentlemen who have a trenchant and a relentless commitment to improving the Baton Rouge community. The 100 is an almost 27-year-old organization built upon 4 pillars: mentoring, education, economic empowerment, and health and wellness. Our programs and initiatives are focused on empowering young people to individually and to collectively maximize their potential by maximizing resources that promote their achievement in education and in community and economic development. It is the complementary missions between our organizations that bring us here this morning. The University of Louisiana system's commitment to educating our students with excellence and the system's commitment to diversity and inclusion make us the perfect partners to work together in advancing these efforts. Through this partnership, together, we will make a clearer pathway for our students to the 9 University of Louisiana system schools. This partnership will help us get more of our students to the campuses when making their college decisions and help them connect with people to ensure their success once they arrive. The system will also provide last dollar scholarships to students who qualify from our programs. The 100, in turn, will provide the system with access to students who have been mentored and are ready for college success, and lend our assistance in the creation of collegiate 100 chapters, on-campus arms of 100 Black men. We would especially like to thank you, Mr. Al Perkins, member of the 100, the immediate past chair of the UL System Board, and current member of the Board of Directors of the 100 for connecting our organizations. Dr. Henderson, thank you, and the phenomenal staff of the UL System Office for facilitating and supporting this partnership. And a great thanks to Chairman Romero for hosting us this morning and for supporting these initiatives. We are extremely excited to partner with the University of Louisiana system and look forward to some phenomenal things to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Godfrey. Mr. Chairman.
I also would like to thank the Board of Supervisors for this wonderful opportunity. This partnership represents a great step forward for the young folk in our program, and it also represents real economic empowerment for the parents of the young folk who we work with. So thank you guys again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As just a note of personal privilege, I want to welcome a dear friend that 15 years ago we formed our first partnership working when he was at Angus Chemical in Sterlington, Louisiana, and working with Dow Chemical, and I had just come into higher education working with workforce development, and it's Billy Duncan. And Billy has done Billy represents those employers that get the vision, the value of investing in their people. And I know that Dow Chemical is still reaping the benefits of your generational work, and it's great to get reacquainted in this new context. But welcome, Billy Duncan, to our board. At this point, I'd like to invite Supervisor Perkins, if he would, the visionary behind this partnership, if he would like to say a few words.
Thank you guys for members of the 100 to come, and thank you for the board for entering into this MOU. This idea kind of birthed in two places. One, we had a board retreat at La Tech maybe a couple years ago. And during that retreat, Cammie did a presentation on how do we become more diverse, but also be inclusive. How do we get more students? How do we build those partnerships? And we discussed what organizations out there actually have their fingers on the pulse of the community. And one of the organizations that we mentioned was the 100 Black Men. And we said that would be an ideal partnership for us. Then it came again, I believe it was Mr. Smith, Mr. Sibley, and all the gentlemen out there. We talked about how can we give our students here locally in Baton Rouge a better introduction into college. A lot of our students that we mentor are first generation. They've never stepped foot on a college campus, and we're asking them to select a college. Also, how can we give them an introduction into what a college atmosphere feel like from an academic standpoint? And we said, let's make this relationship happen. In the past, the 100 has already been preparing students, and some of them have already gone to some of our universities. We have a couple of students that we talked to Dr. Geis about that are there at La Tech. And the thing that makes this partnership really a great opportunity is that the 100 has one of the prominent ACT prep courses in the state of Louisiana. They offer this course twice a year on two of the campuses here in Baton Rouge, and there's normally about 80 students that participate. And we have seen significant growth in those student performance, because we don't want to just send students to our system. We want to have students that are prepared and ready to enter into the system. And we think having this official partnership will now allow us to be able to say, system, universities, what do y'all need? And then the 100 can say, we'll get them ready. So I appreciate this opportunity to put these two worlds together, where I think it's going to be a very organic relationship, and it just makes sense. I appreciate the staff of the system who jumped on it and already started thinking about ideas, and I'm just excited to see, and I think we're going to make a major difference in the lives of these students. But the other thing I want everyone to know, the 100 has multiple chapters in the state of Louisiana, and it is a national organization. So this is the birthplace of something, but this is not going to be the final destination. Hopefully, if we do this thing right, we'll be looking at a national type of movement in here. And that will help bring students into Louisiana, retain students here, and improve our workforce and improve the intellectual capital here in Louisiana. So I thank you guys for what you all have done already in the community. Dr. Henderson, Chair Romero, thank everything you guys have done. And board, this is going to be a fantastic relationship, and we're going to really get some true benefits from it.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. And I believe tomorrow is a pretty big event for the 100. Is that correct?
Tomorrow is our annual gala, and we do look forward to celebrating this partnership with you.
Good. Thank you, Trey. At this time, Chair Romero and I will join you at the table for the signing of the MOU, and would like to invite all of our board members down to witness this and get a picture. Folks, this is one of those monumental generational agreements that it seems like it's just signing a piece of paper, but it's the institutional change, the cultural evolution that allows us to implement that's going to benefit us for quite a long time. And I thank you all for being part of it. Agree with that. Mr. Chair?
Yep.
sit down. That ain't gonna work. One, two, three. Beautiful, thank you.
I'm available. He just, well, I thought the chairman would pick right up on that,
But he's back in doing
he
one.
just kind of looked at me funny.
I would accept it.
Don't you know?
Winford Terrell's thing, he would.
Never occurred, you know.
His son is a lawyer.
I pay, we all pay.
As well.
Last of the big time spenders.
Okay. Okay.
But they jumped on you.
They jumped on me. Absolutely. Exactly. Just tell them college about get me all the
Mr. And board members, thank you all for that, and what an exciting moment that is. I have two more issues before we talk about the conference. One of them is right before Christmas, I was blessed to be invited by our student board member, Rachel Lotiger, to Lafayette for something I wasn't quite sure what I was going to, but it was called Museum on the Move. And it's a research project that was done under the leadership of Dr. Liz Skilton. And you might remember Dr. Skilton, I mentioned her to you in June when her book Tempest came out, was released. It's a book that covers the evolution of the naming of hurricanes and how that relates to empowerment of women. And it's an extraordinary read, and I encourage you all to read it. But she did a research project with a 1958 Airstream trailer to go around to communities and study the effects of Hurricane Harvey. And so, Rachel Lotiger, I'd like for you just to mention a little bit about that experience, because it was extraordinary for me to participate in. Thank you.
So in the fall semester, Dr. Skilton's Louisiana history class and her environmental history class, of which I was a part, traveled every Saturday. Each student traveled to at least one of the 12 parishes that were listed as disaster sites during Hurricane Harvey in 2017. And she got this grant through the Center for Louisiana Studies to showcase the story of Hurricane Harvey, not just in Texas, but in Southwest Louisiana. And the method by which we were showing that impact was mainly through oral history. And we designed a participatory museum in which we brought to these parishes where people could record their memory in a variety of ways. And then we took all of those histories, whether they were a survey with marbles or a recorded interview or just pictures that were submitted or comments that were passed, and turned it into an 11-exhibit museum, all by finals week, which was pretty fun. So it consisted of 57 students across the two classes. We traveled to the 12 parishes over 1,500 miles. And for the environmental history class, which doubled as our methods class for history majors, spent an average of 70 hours processing the data, creating an exhibit, installing the exhibit, which was featured in the December edition of Science on the Bayou at the Lafayette Science Museum, and will begin its tour this month across Louisiana and even parts of Texas, so that more people can see and experience. And the museum features tactile, verbal, auditory, visual exhibits that truly represent the class that created it, but also the stories that we got from these people in these parishes. And I was honored to have Dr. Henderson in attendance, and I invite and encourage all members of the board and friends and staff of the system to visit it when it comes to a city near you.
Thank you, Rachel. And you know, when we look at the history of these storms that affect our state all too often, we can look at wind speeds, we can look at the millions or billions of dollars of damage, we can look at barometric pressures, and that's fine, right? That gives you an idea. But it's the compelling stories that come from our people that tell the true nature of the impact of these storms. And Rachel, thank you for inviting me to that. It was fantastic. I was going to call her to the table. She wasn't prepared, but Erica Calais, our Vice President of Student Services, is back. She just got back from New Hampshire, where she has been with student leaders from across the state. And I'm not going to make you come up, Erica, because I didn't tell you this at all. Didn't even give you a heads up. But welcome back. But our students got to experience, and if you didn't know that, there's a lot of activity in New Hampshire in preparation for the 2020 presidential election. And I'm sure she'll give us a report in February. She's still tired. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, as you know, this year's conference is fast approaching. It'll be held on UL Monroe's campus on Thursday and Friday, January 30th and 31st. I want to thank Dr. Bruno. He's painting right now and cleaning things up on campus, so he couldn't be here today. But for offering his campus, and we urge our board members to attend all or at least a portion of the conference. We know you'll benefit greatly, and the presenters and participants will benefit from your presence as well. I want to thank Ann McKesson for doing just an extraordinary job of organizing. And this is a tremendous undertaking, and Ann, thank you for doing it in exemplary fashion as always, and to Dr. Kahn for patience with her president. Thank you, Chair Romero.
Thank you, Dr. Henderson. And I just have a few orders of business before we conclude today's meeting. The 2020 Standing Committee assignments will be identical to last year's. Each committee chair has served 1 year in the position and is eligible to serve a second term. And I want to thank all of you for the really good hard work that was put forth in the 2019 year, and really appreciate you continuing that service. Going forward, Ms. Donahoe will continue to chair Academic and Student Affairs. Mr. Murphy will chair Athletics. Mr. Perkins will lead Facilities Planning. Mr. Kitchen will lead Finance. Dr. Egan will chair Grievance. Mr. Salter will chair Legislation. Mr. Robinson will chair Personnel, and Ms. Pierre will be head of the Strategy and Performance Committee. Carol has placed a copy of the assignments in your folders for your convenience. Our next meeting is scheduled in Natchitoches for Friday, February 28th. The board will immediately resume a retreat on Northwestern's campus through Saturday morning. I encourage you to plan to be present for the entire retreat. We have absolutely enjoyed the past retreats, and I think this year will be a very special one and a progressive one. Dr. Henderson assures me that it'll be neat and different, and I think you'll see some enterprising engagement among our board during that time. And since we have an extra day on the calendar this year, we thought we would ask you to go ahead and donate it to the system. This week you received the calendar Evite as a reminder for today's meeting. Carol will send out Evites for the February meeting so it can be added to your calendars, but she'll also continue to send a formal email once the agenda is finalized. This will continue throughout the year to allow you to receive the information and have your calendar updated. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for completing the compliance training that we required to complete for the ethics and sexual harassment training required by state law. And I must say, by December 31st, when it was time to close that turn the calendar, we were all done, so 100% compliance. So thank all of you. I think somebody was real dedicated.
Somebody's happy.
You know, today's a very special day, and I want to recognize Jessie Gabor for her birthday and celebrating it. I hate that you're working and attending a meeting with us, but we are so glad to have you, and happy birthday. I think it's 21 you told me earlier. Happy birthday. And as we conclude and adjourn, all of you see Mr. Sabille and Ms. Wynn. I think it's certainly an honor today, and we look forward to recognizing you all after we adjourn. Is there any business to come before the board this time? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mr. Murphy. We stand adjourned. Following our adjournment, we'll meet again around noon in the system office on the 7th floor to celebrate Mr. Sabille's service to the board and to dedicate the Winfred Sabille Conference Room. I'm happy to have both of you here today. It's certainly an honor to have served with you, and I think it's a privilege to have you here today and continue the recognition of service that you provided. After the dedication, we'll have a planned reception for them. We can actually start now, so environmental break and we'll get going.